My guests are all good to go. Senator Mombasa County, Hassan Omar, Dismas Mokua, Deputy President of Sadiki East Africa, and Ambrose Weda, who's a prominent lawyer. Good to see you all.
Thank you.
You had a good weekend? Senator, we'll start with you.
Absolutely.
Past week?
The week, this time was fairly relaxed, but I did attend one or two functions, and particularly the launch or a dinner hosted by the Omar University. The Omar University is the first Islamic university in Kenya, and I think for us it's about expanding the avenues of knowledge and education in the country. Then Sunday I was in Changamwe constituency, attending some rallying people for some petition to build a vocational training institute.
Okay.
So I think education is one of my major focus when it comes to the actuals and the deliverables. We're going to want to devolve part of it to the counties so that we can be able to build the infrastructure for it.
All right. Mokua, you've been well?
Yes, it's been an interesting week watching politicians, senators and members of the National Assembly playing their politics and keeping a close eye to see what happens this week.
Yeah. Okay. Weda.
Oh, it was a mixed week. On Tuesday, I was unfortunately informed I could not travel to Melbourne.
Ebola?
Yeah, they said my proximity to DRC.
Really?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yes.
I was just joking.
So then I got an email saying, in view of ABCD, let's hold on for a month. I had speaking engagements. So it was...
My world.
Then, but Saturday was good. I attended a very unique wedding for my neighbors. They have lived for 25 years. The Ngangas, so now they were wedding. It was a colorful wedding. I congratulate them.
Nice.
And Sunday, another unique one, there's a lady called Sarah Mwikali. Not as endowed as the senator here or my colleague or anybody in this room.
By endowed you mean?
Rich.
Okay.
She gave the Anglican Church of Kenya a very valuable plot where we inaugurated a church called Holy Trinity. But what was touching is that she had so little, yet she gave so much. Yet I know even if Senator here had 500 acres in Lamu, she would not give an inch. So the gesture, I think, made me thinking. It made me also feel very guilty. I said, some of us have so much, yet giving kidogo. We see even our colleagues dying of hunger. And you have bought family-sized bread. Ile kubwa, ile kilo moja na nusu. You have bought the white one and the
brown one.
The brown one. Hizo mbili. Na watoto ni wawili tu. Na mama akuli bread, and you can't give out to people.
Yes.
So it was challenging.
They say
it was very
Kiswahili, kutoa ni moyo.
Yes, it was very challenging. I felt very challenged. I hope we Kenyans will learn to
share?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have some shambas you want to give as an acre? As Morning Express?
I'll give something else.
For a KTN Bureau.
For a KTN Bureau, yeah? Let's move on to the stories we've been covering. Big one last week. The announcement that Major General Gishangi has resigned on personal grounds. He continues, of course, to hold office until there's a replacement. And since then, there's been an overdrive of analysis and everybody trying to piece together what this really could have been about, because everyone seems to think it was a pushing out, not him just coming out and saying, oh, I just want to resign. And we've heard from ICC links to Mpeketoni to poor working relations with some of the other bosses in the security docket. But I'm curious to know what you think, Senator.
The one thing I do think and concur with everybody, it was not a resignation. Okay. It was not a voluntary resignation. Gishangi enjoys security of tenure. And I think his tenure was to end sometime in 2017. So, but I have always said, particularly when you transit from one president to another, I do believe that Uhuru had thought he could give him an opportunity to conclude his term. But I think with the myriad of challenges that we've faced in security terms, I think the president did exactly what anybody will do in his position. Call him up, tell him, listen, there's a lot of undercurrents when it comes to security matters. There's a general sense of our failing. And part of those to blame is the National Security Intelligence Services, or now the NIS, the National Intelligence Services. And therefore, I need your resignation. And a Director General of a security intelligence organization cannot purport to have security of tenure when the President and the Executive particularly has said that it has no confidence in your management anymore. So I do believe that it's part of the shake-up. It should have come earlier, and we want to see it through. We hope it will evolve in a manner that will crystallize true transformation, and that they will now appoint someone, not based on patronage, but based on experience, on the basis of the challenges of insecurity that we have right now, and particularly the challenges of intelligence gathering. One curious thing, Sophia, I always kept asking myself, whenever anything happened, from post-election violence to anything else that happened, there will always be somebody who will plant something in the media saying that NIS warned of this attack. NIS warned of Mpeketoni. NIS warned, and that was partly the propaganda machinery, I think, of the NIS itself. And look at what, if you want to know that Gishangi fell out of favor, it is not a coincidence that 3 national newspapers had a similar scoop on why Gishangi exited. So what is happening, people are trying to sanitize his exit so as to show that he was pushed out for failure, so that at least they can now start pointing fingers at somebody. And the same machinery that usually acts as a propaganda machinery now is turned against one of its own very own rank and one of its own within that arrangement. So I think Gishangi is used to doing that type of thing, spin opinion around. But this time, it is not coincidence that the Star, the Nation, and our very own, the Standard, had a similar, headline across the board of why Gishangi quit. I can see this as a doctor sitting somewhere, calling their contacts in the various media houses, telling them, I'm giving you a scoop. So all of them ran it, believing probably it's a scoop for them. This is why Gishangi quit. And all of you ran it. And I can tell you somebody is working now to bring him down totally and fix the insecurity on him.
Weda?
Let me tell you, in a functioning, serious government, when you are appointed, there's the letter of appointment given to you with the right hand. And you sign down there, I accept. Beneath it, which you also sign, is a resignation. Always, if Obama appoints you, always there's the resignation. So that anytime the president can say, we thank you most sincerely for your services, so and so, unfortunately resign. You don't have to resign that day. You resign the day you took over office. I'm not saying that is happening in Kenya, but that is how. I was about
to ask you.
But let's take Gishangi. The events that have taken place, other than the events, it should have been that the day President Uhuru was sworn in, all these appointees, the Inspector General, the whatever, the Attorney General, himself, you actually get appointment with the President and say, Your Excellency, I am ready to quit. Then it is the President to say, continue. But you see, ours, we take this position and think it's a matter of right. You have to offer to leave for the new administration to take root. Then the president says, stay on until a given time. That may not happen.
But so if that always happened, what would happen to institutional memory if fresh people are coming in every time there's a new administration?
It is not that you leave that day. But everybody, when a new president comes in, is supposed to set up a new administration. So you go in, when you go in to congratulate him, you tell him, Your Excellency, I am ready to quit. Okay? Then he tells you, stay on, or I'll work with you. So that you make it easy for him to make it, not that it is like you're sacking people. Now, some people stayed on, okay? Like General Gishangi stayed on. Then there were the bomb attacks. Then there were the Mpeketoni. Then there were all these things. And we have said in this program, somebody has to take responsibility. It is only that a government, you don't take action from Nyayo National Stadium or City Stadium. People shout and you take action. The government moves in a way that responsibility has to be taken. So somehow, Gishangi has to take responsibility for the lapses. How do you take that responsibility? You move out. In fact, it has to restore confidence, he had to move out. So whether he moved out by his own resignation or being pushed out, the key element is to move out and the people to come in And I congratulate him for the services he's given, and I also thank him and thank the president. We hope a new man will come who will make a functioning NSIS. For now, NSIS has been collecting just basic rumors after the event.
Yeah, because one of the accusations was that the Mpeketoni intelligence was not actionable, that it wasn't one that could really be worked and acted on. But you say man or woman? Clarity on that one. For NIS boss, Mokua.
Well, my view is a bit different from these two gentlemen. Yes. And I think as a growing democracy, we now need to place a premium on institutions. That whoever is heading the National Intelligence Service is not really loyal to the president or the government at office at that particular time, but is loyal to Wanjiku. And when you're looking at the role of the intelligence community all over the world, maybe you look at CIA and you look at Mossad, normally the people at the institutions do not even care to know who is the president or who is the prime minister, because the country has identified the national security interests. Like for instance, if you look at Mossad, one of their national security interests is to look at all their neighbors who want to terminate the existence of Israel. And they focus on that. So it doesn't matter who is the prime minister. And one would have expected that for the National Intelligence Service, Brigadier Gishangi would have a system which works, and it doesn't matter who becomes president. If Senator Omar becomes a president, the person in charge of NIS should be loyal to Wanjiku, because even the senator or the president is expected to be loyal to Wanjiku. But when you look at the situation obtained in Kenya, as the prominent lawyers you refer to him has said, is that people, the intelligence service has kept on running around rumors. And you know, we've mistaken intelligence service as running after politicians, because I suspect Gishangi tends to listen to what Omar is saying with his party leader, instead of really focusing on the issues affecting Kenya. Like one would expect that there's a lot of economic intelligence, so that when the president is signing bilateral agreements in Africa or with the East African community, they are signed with our national interest at heart. I would be so delighted if a scandal erupts in a country that Gishangi has been listening to the conversation of President Museveni and President Kagame, so that we secure our interests here locally. But I think we got it wrong. And maybe what we need to look at now is not even at the personality, because another person will come and head the organization. If your desire is granted, a lady will come and head the organization. But do we have now the institutional framework that will make sure that whoever is serving that position is loyal to Wanjiku? Because you're going to have an election every 5 years, and you cannot, I mean, it's not necessary to keep on having a new team every 5 years, considering that a lot of resources is invested in the intelligence. So as an entire nation, whatever institution it is, it should be that institutions should be loyal to national security interests. So maybe the question is, as a nation, have we identified our national security interests?
Do you think that's wishful thinking, or there's a place actually to get to that? That would be the ideal. But in our politics and how it's practiced now, is that likely to happen?
Mokua is right to that extent. When we must nurture institutions, and these institutions must be depoliticized, de-ethnicized, and that they must focus on a certain objective. But time and again, when presidents or new leaders come into office, they have this agenda that they have their campaign manifestos that they have promised people, and I think that it also touches on matters of security. How are you going to realign your security strategy, your issues on Somalia, your issues on counterterrorism? Like I have said, there's everything wrong about the narrative of how we manage counterterrorism in Kenya. Yeah, I believe that you can almost link it to Gishangi about some of these, you know, extra constitutional means in how terrorism was fought. Because you give blanket intelligence. Now I understand very well what it means. You say these terrorists are somewhere within Isle, so you swoop everybody, rather than tell us specifically this terrorist is somewhere in that particular house in Isle. And therefore you end up humiliating an entire community, creating unnecessary political upheaval. So I think what we need to do is to have that balance, where we're not talking about reorganizing the entire institution. We're talking about, at least at the leadership level, there need to be transition, particularly when a new president or a new leader wants to appear to give momentum to his ideas and to his administration. You do not want to come with this baggage of the yesteryear. You see, assuming his prophecy or his assertions came true. Hassan Omar sits on the presidency. Definitely, I do not want you to tell me that there is institutional frameworks that are working loyally to Wanjiku and you leave me a Gishangi. My idea of security is so different and a pace apart from what Gishangi thinks about security. His is the archaic model of security management. Ours is a more progressive model of security management. So you want to have someone who reflects part of that idea without necessarily compromising the neutrality and of the organization. So that I think it's just right to have a few people for you to manage certain critical sectors in a vision that you have articulated to the Kenyan people, so that they can judge you on that merit or demerit.
Let me tell you, just to correct you, national security rests with the president, the head of state. It does not rest with Wanjiku. Wanjiku has already delegated these responsibilities to various organs, including the president. That is why whenever there's a crisis, we look to the president as the commander-in-chief, as the man or woman in charge. This theory that came that you give power to an institution, but you want Wanjiku to do it also himself or herself, is what is causing confusion. The security intelligence, they all fall under national security, under like I would say, the military. And this rests with the commander-in-chief. If something goes wrong, it is the commander-in-chief. In the current scenario that we had with General Gishangi, he may not have been the one who made the mistake, but he was in charge, and he pays the price. President Uhuru, on the other hand, will pay the overall price in 2017. That is when we look and say, you performed dismally, out. You performed well, carry on. That is how it is working. This excitement with Wanjiku is what is causing confusion. And we must ourselves say no.
So the loyalties lie with whoever is in power, the president.
Yes, for you. Yes. If the economy is doing badly, if we don't have jobs, today it is President Uhuru, nobody else. If the terrorists are hitting us left, right, and center, it is not the Inspector General, it is the president. And that is why we say, but
if that is the case, then you go back to what Mokua was saying, that then the focus becomes just to please this person, to tell them, oh, you know, Hassan, Omar and Joho are talking about this, to do this and the other. It moves away from serving, because I guess the point is to have your commitment and loyalties to the best and the good of Kenyans, not this individual or the presidency.
Get it this way. When the president is elected, you are given the ultimate power. And Wanjiku tells you now, form a team that will render the following services to these standards. Okay. Now that team includes people loyal to you, so that when you tell them, I do not want to hear about terrorism in this country, they are able to do it. Not people are saying, no, I was busy listening to Wanjiku when you called me, so I couldn't. That's why things have gone wrong. The ultimate price is paid by the president here, even in America.
Well, how we've taken care of the Wanjiku element in the Constitution article, chapter 14. We say national security is under the authority of Parliament, and here in the both houses. In other words, Parliament has a responsibility to hold to account apparatus of national security. Unfortunately, when you have a Parliament that is highly polarized, so you can hardly audit where it is, because they tend to share that responsibility. If anything, Gishangi brings a legislative proposal, wherever it emanates from him or his line minister, seeking to give more power to the NIS, rather than for us to account for the power that they have. So I think and then it says that national security or organs of national security shall be under civilian authority. Civilian authority here doesn't necessarily mean the president. Civilian authority simply means, for instance, in my view, the National Police Service under the National Police Service Commission. We try to depoliticize these issues and to de-ethnicize. What I'm in concurrence with Lawyer Weda is to give a minimum array of flexibility for a president at least to tell the guy who manages security, if he does not meet to his style and expectations of his manifesto or his objectives, to at least be honorable enough to tender a resignation, but not to affect the entire systems or the entire institutions, because exciting as it might appear, we have a Wanjiku constitution. It is it says there the supremacy of all organs is the people of the Republic of Kenya, and they've already agreed on a structure of how security needs to be managed, including parliamentary vetting, parliamentary audits, and therefore I just hope these National Assembly and Senate committees that handle security will be more robust.
Mokua, I'll let you contribute when we come back on break. We must take a break now because we also want to talk about the other appointments and reshuffles which will happen. Mutai Ringo as well from Interior Ministry affected by that. That and much more coming up. Don't go away. Stay with Morning Express.